Well, happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Thank you, Jennifer.
I'm glad that you're my mom. You're an awesome mom.
Oh, isn't that sweet? I'm glad that you're my daughter. You're a super awesome daughter.
Did you hear that, everybody?
For real.
Well, Mom, you are also the treasurer for my campaign. So thank you for that. And this is the second time you've been my treasurer for these crazy runs for office. But, wondering if you might share with folks, what kind of background do you have with finance and managing money, Mom?
That is funny. Well, from an education point of view, my background is a master's in finance.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've studied this field for a long time, as well as been in the field for most of my career. I started out with commodities trading and ended up as president and CEO of a financial institution, and was really one of the first African-American female in the state of Mississippi that ran a commercial bank, and it was a publicly traded bank. So we have a large experience in financial transactions.
Mm-hmm. And that bank was in your hometown, right? Of Jackson, Mississippi?
First American Bank. It was a minority controlled bank.
Mm-hmm. And what made you want to, take up a leadership role like that in your hometown in Mississippi?
Oh, growing up and looking at the disparity in terms of access to capital for Black business people. My father owned a small business of dry cleaners, and he found it very, very difficult to access capital for his business. And this was, in the 1960s. So certainly today in the 2000s, it's still a problem. And I always felt that I wanted to do something to give back to my race and to give the best of my skills to those who would need it, and to those who desired it, and to those who looked like me.
Well, I don't know if you knew how important that was to me in watching that. I wish I could show your pictures of fancy Fiskite with your afro.
They have to go on Facebook to see that.
But we got to show people that, because as a kid, I saw a lot of things that you were doing and really wondered for myself, how could I follow in your footsteps, particularly in supporting not only just our broader communities, but, the African-American community and communities of color. So one of the things that you started doing when I was growing up was you founded the Martin Luther King Jr. celebrations in my hometown. Why was that something that was important for you to do, to start there?
Well, this was during the period where they were trying to get the celebration recognized state by state, town by town, city by city. And we lived in a town, Coral Springs, that did not recognize the holiday. And I felt it was important because the town was growing. We had more and more African Americans moving in, more and more children that didn't see anybody that looked too much like them. And so I thought it was important that the town recognized Dr. King's contributions. And I took it upon myself to, first of all, lobby the city council, and second of all, engage other African-American parents to help me. And it took a couple of years, but finally we got the city council to approve it and vote for it and to fund it. And so once we had the go-ahead, we then went to the only organization in town that focused on Black kids was Jack and Jill. And so, of course, we started with our kids, and it grew from a children's holiday event to one of the biggest events that the town of Coral Springs has ever had. And
Mm-hmm.
so the success of that is just really super, super wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And my hat's off to the Black people who continue to do it today and who find it just as necessary today as it was 30 years ago. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm just very happy that this town has continued to see that it is necessary. It is there for all of us now to understand how we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
And that was why I did that.
That's cool. We got to meet some very influential people in the civil rights movement. One of the favorite people that I got to shake the hand of was Mr. Belafonte. There's a picture of that somewhere. We got to find it.
I dig those pictures out. You know, we're going way back.
I
You met
know.
quite a few people. You met Merle Evers, you met Andrew Young, you met Cara Belafonte, you met Les Brown, and Gladys Knight was with him. I'm trying to think of all the speakers.
Dr. King's daughter there too, right? Yeah.
Met Yolanda, and unfortunately, she died not too long after. But you know, you talk about the impact that it may have had on you, but it was kind of the reason for doing it. You know, having my kids, most of all, be right in the forefront and meeting these people and getting to talk to these people to understand why they were doing what they did. And I was so proud to afford an opportunity for all of our kids to meet Harry Belafonte or Merle Evers. That was one of the highlights of all of the parents' feelings and thoughts about the program.
Yeah, it was really cool, and it set me up, I think, in a very important way to understand kind of like the purpose of what I was going to school for. You know, it was, half of it was to be a living embodiment of all those things that people fought for, but also to recognize the work isn't done. And so I think, you know, as I grew up, I started to recognize probably why I was compelled to become a teacher and become a lawyer. And it was really to stand in some of those gaps where we weren't, to continue some of that, to continue the work, you know, that started way before me. So thank you for that. You know, I don't know. Have I ever told you that?
I'm so proud of the courage that you exhibit when you, as a young woman, stand up and stand in the gap to make sure that these opportunities that we have had continue. It's so important that we have people like you who, despite how unpleasant, you know, a political campaign can be, you are courageous enough to say, this is important to us. This is important for Black people. And I'm willing to take my training, my experience, my relationships with people, and try to do more or try to maintain the gains that we have. If we didn't have young people like you doing this, it would be very, very sad. And people like me who have felt all along that we have to carry the torch. We have to maintain the progress. We cannot let it slip back. And I am so proud that you're one of the young people who you're just not afraid, and you keep pushing forward. So good for you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Mom. I'm not going to cry on camera because I'm a strong Black woman. But thank you. You know, I'd also like to take the time to shout out the activists in my community. You know, Denver's been a welcoming home for me, and there's definitely a lot of work to do. And I stand on the shoulders of people who have worked hard in this community, including you. You spent a lot of time here building some really important relationships to support the women of Denver, to support communities of color of Denver, students, and shout out to Hallett, right? Um, but I stand on some really great shoulders, from Rachel Knoll and to activists who've been here long before me, you know, watching the Facebook videos and lives and reading the articles, and the words have been really important, because community work takes all of community, and it takes the pain, but it also takes that pain so that we can find the progress. So thank you, because it wasn't an easy road for you. I was watching, believe it or not. Picked up a few things.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
I think what you have in Denver, you know, you just got some committed souls there. And I was very proud of when you moved to Denver, and one of the first organizations that you were involved in, and I don't know if you want me to share this with people, but it was the Women's Foundation of Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you had young women that had accomplished many things in the state of Colorado and the community of Colorado, of Denver. So I think you got a really good lesson on what strong, committed women do. So keep doing your thing.
Well, I'm so glad that I had this time to celebrate you through an interview. Happy Mother's Day. Yay.
Well, thank you, my love.
Thank you so much for everything, Mom. I just truly wouldn't be anything without you. You were not only my mom, but my first teacher, my Black history teacher, my social justice teacher, my financial advisor. And, you know, I really hope that I can make you proud in this leadership.
You have already made me proud. You've been making me proud since the day you were born.
Oh, thank you. I was cute.